Now, I can't do it because it's not in my possession. The money is mine. But I ask them to transfer the money to Word of Faith. And I don't ask it in the form of a question. I say, pay to the order of Word of Faith. 20 million. Oh, no, that's not what I did. I said, so verse 22, let me, because I'm still reviewing. We need to move on, okay? Verse 22. Verse 22, he said, all things whatsoever you shall ask in prayer, believing. Look, he said, you shall receive. Whatever. All right? Now, verse 23, and this is what I want to get to, because this is where we left off, and I think this is important. This is where I'm going to focus today. Verse 23, and when he was coming to the temple, the chief priest, now he back in the temple. He went in the temple and kicked out the money changers, and he done healed in the temple. Then he went home and slept overnight in Bethany. He went back to the Holiday Inn in Bethany. He slept there. It says he lodged there, so he wasn't in the manger this time. He lodged there, and then he came back the next morning, and here he is back in the temple. And when he came in the temple, this time he's teaching the people. And in the middle of his teaching, in verse 23, it says, he was coming to the temple. The chief priests and the elders of the people came unto him as he was teaching and said, they interrupted his message. Now, last week I had the guys come up and interrupt me, and you saw how rude that is, that in the middle of his teaching, they interrupted and said, excuse me, Jesus. And they asked him, by what authority dost thou these things, and who gave thee this authority? And this is a very important question. Because authority, my favorite definition of authority is jurisdiction. Come on, we know about jurisdiction. Amen? That means that in a certain area, you have to know where your jurisdiction is, because you have no power to enforce anything outside your jurisdiction. And so jurisdiction is a limit, a boundary. Authority is the power or the right to give commands. So when he kicked them out the temple, he had the power or the right to give command. Authority is the power or the right to enforce obedience. It's the power or the right to take action. Who does it? Just a few minutes ago when the kids came in and sang, you saw certain people doing certain things. They took action. They took action. And, even now, if something were to go wrong with my microphone, not everybody would come up here or even go back there. But there are certain people with the power and the right to take action. Now, if we start singing a song, somebody else has the power and the right to take action. Right? Authority is also the power and the right to make final decisions. So it's the power and the right to give commands, to enforce obedience, to take action, to make final decisions. That's what authority is. And so when they asked Jesus, by what authority do you do this, and who gave you this authority? They said, who in the world told you that you could make a decision, a final decision on who comes in here and what they do in here? Where'd you get the power and the right over blindness? We want to know what is this authority? And whoever said that anybody but God could tell a tree, and then not only did you tell a tree, we saw the tree, but your teaching says that the same thing can be done to a mountain. Who you think you are? That's basically what they're asking him. Who do you think you are? Now, Jesus' answer is where we're going to spend our time today. Verse 24. And Jesus answered and said unto them, I also will ask you one thing, which if you tell me, I in likewise will tell you by what authority I do these things. Jesus said in verse 25, the baptism of John, whence was it? From heaven or of men? And they reasoned with themselves, saying, if we shall say from heaven, he will say unto us, why did ye not then believe him? But if we shall say of men, we fear the people, for all hold John as a prophet. And they answered Jesus and said, we cannot tell. We cannot tell. And he said unto them, neither tell I you by what authority I do these things. Amen. Amen. And so Jesus asked them a question, and I believe Jesus' answer was so important. And, you know, in my, I had an understanding of this in the past, but I believe that I was just a little bit off, and I had to tweak my understanding to help us today to understand what Jesus was trying to get them to realize. See, when Jesus asks you a question, he's not trying to confuse you. But he knows that if you think through the answer, you'll answer your question. And so he was trying to help them to answer their question. And so he said, now, you tell me, the baptism of John, is it from heaven or is it of men? Now, before we answer that question, let's take a look at a couple of scriptures. Go to Luke chapter number 4. Luke chapter number 4. Verse number 31. I'm going to show you, Jesus wasn't the only one. This question of Jesus' authority did not just come from the chief priests and the Pharisees. Verse 31, and he came down to Capernaum, a city of Galilee, and taught them on the Sabbath days. And they were astonished at his doctrine, for his word was with power. And in the synagogue there was a man which had a spirit of an unclean devil. I told you, anybody can come in. Look at this man with the spirit of an unclean devil went to church. He didn't fuss about him being in church. Come on, if there's any place a person with a spirit of an unclean devil need to be, it's in church. It's in church. If there's any place that somebody confused needs to be, it's in church. Somebody with perverted thinking, they need to be in church. Amen. Amen. If this man wouldn't have went to church, he wouldn't have been exposed to Jesus this morning. You see that? All right, let's just go on and read on. So this man cried out with a loud voice. Look at verse 34. Look what he said. What did he say? Let us alone. What have we to do with thee, thou Jesus of Nazareth? Art thou come to destroy us? I know thee who thou art, the Holy One of God. Look at this. This demon is questioning Jesus' authority. Look at how he responds to Jesus. Jesus didn't even say nothing to him. Jesus was just there. Right? We didn't. The text doesn't say Jesus said anything. It just said there was a man there with a spirit of an unclean devil, and he cried out, and he said, "Leave me alone." Challenging his authority. Leave me alone. You can't do this. I know who you are. Who is he? Holy One of God. Challenging his authority. Let's look at another example real quick. I don't want to spend too much time there. Turn to Matthew chapter number 8. Matthew chapter number 8, verse number 28. Verse 28, and when he was come to the other side, into the country of the Gergesenes, there met him two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceeding fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. Everybody was afraid of them. Verse 29. And behold, they cried out. Again, Jesus didn't say nothing. They cried out, saying, what have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time? Questioning his right to do it now. They didn't question whether he could torment them before the time. So you might have the power, the right to do it, but it doesn't start until a certain time. Come on, somebody in here, you ever sign a lease, you know that that's your apartment. But not until the time. You can't just move in there anytime you want to. The contract tells you the time, and you can't just go in there and say, you got to leave out of here because this is my apartment. Wait a minute. That's say the first of the month, today the 29th. Come see me on Tuesday. Oh, but look out now. On Tuesday, if you come back and they still in there, come on, what can you do? You got to get it. You got to get out. No, you can't take nothing. It'll be out there when you get out. Go on out. It's going to beat you downstairs. I'm throwing everything out the window. Why? Authority. Authority. There was a period in time, man, once at 12 o'clock on the 30th, when soon as the date changed, authority changed. Come on. Jurisdiction changed. They had jurisdiction, but at 12 o'clock it changed to you. And so when you came, you said, not only do you got to leave, your stuff got to go. Your mama, all your family. Bye, Felicia. Come on. Y'all. Yeah. All right, let's. Yeah. There. All right. Go to Mark. Watch this one. Go to Mark chapter 5.